Hey guys, welcome back to the Fantasy podcast, where we spill the tea on the books we read. I'm Montana.
And I'm Callie, and this week we read Ruthless Vows. Yay!
Yay! I love
Oh,
that
you
you
put your
don't have your
dust
dust
jacket.
jacket
You
back
put your
on.
dust jacket back on. Oh, mine's there on
Okay,
this
I've been
fake
done
book.
with it. I've been done with it for
I.
a while though, so it's just on my shelf.
That's true. I literally just finished this 30 minutes ago, and we were like, we have to talk about it right now. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do the dang thing because
The
I
cool
mean it's
thing
fine.
about this episode that we're doing is we have not talked about how we feel about this book. Like, we don't know each other's reactions quite yet. So this is fresh, raw reaction.
It's all very, and
Exciting.
I last time I wrote it out, and I was like, It took me a while to like. Okay, like what do I even want to talk about? This one, I'm not kidding. Like I have notes.
There you go. I love this for
Like
you.
I was in it and I tabbed too. So this book is yeah, I enjoyed this read, which I suppose we should do like a little recap of Divine Rivals. I realize this is a duology.
Yeah.
From Divine Rivals from Miss Rebecca Ross.
Such a good one.
It is. Although I will say, spoiler, the second one is better.
Facts. I mean, okay, the first one's just world building, information, relationship
Yeah.
forming, and then the second one is when the action happens.
Or should we start with like our ratings? I haven't even got on Goodreads to get to rate it, but should we start with ratings and like what era we put it in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. 100%. You go.
You want me to go? Okay. Rating? Yeah. Oh! Okay, I gave it a 4.5, which means my Goodreads rating will be a 5 because I round up. So I gave it a 4.5. I did think it kept me interested for the most part. I wanted to keep reading. I liked the character development. I liked the plot. I felt like it really thickened. There were things that I did predict, but they were still like good predictions in my mind. Like I was like happy that those things happened, but I have a lot of theories that I wrote out as I was reading, and I liked that. Anyway, I liked it. 4.5. What did you give it?
That's it. I mean, that's good. I actually gave it 5. But here's my thing.
Ooh.
I went in with such low expectations.
Yeah, so did I, because you said, I don't remember who had read it, and they were like, oh, it's just like not that good. And then I was nervous
Yeah.
that, okay, now I'm not going to like it. And I think it surpassed what I was like expecting. And so I think for me, that's why it
Yeah.
was like such a high rating. But I'm surprised you gave it a 5.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of, I forget like the half-star ratings in my brain when I'm doing it on Goodreads. So, I mean, mentally,
Yeah,
I'd probably
that's
say
true.
4.5, but my Goodreads rating is a 5. So when I read Divine Rivals, I had just come out of Iron Flame. If you don't know, that's the sequel to Fourth Wing in the Empyrean series, and much more action-packed, much more story, world building, all of that. And so it took me almost a month to get through Divine Rivals because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so slow moving. It's great, but what is happening?
What
So
is
I took my
happening?
time. Well, exactly. What is going on? It's a Jim moment.
Honestly, I feel like,
Anyway,
well, now no, because now you're onto like a whole different series and like world building. But like, if you wouldn't have read it right after that, I feel like your reaction to it would have been much different. But I get why you
100%.
thought that, because I thought Divine Rivals was better than what you rated it, and I don't remember what I rated it on Goodreads, but it was higher than what you rated it, and I was like, I mean, it wasn't the best book I read, but it was a good, to me, it was good. But I liked a lot of the
It was a
idea of
great book.
like
Yeah.
these magical typewriters and the I still don't agree with it being like enemies to lovers. I don't see that at all. Like
It's not
they
enemies to
were
lovers at all.
hardly they were hardly even rivals. They
Yeah,
like,
they
that
were
was
just
just such
kind
a
of like,
brief
ew.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a brief thing that it was like, why is that a label on it? But other than that, like, by the end of the book, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait for the second one now."
Yeah, I was excited for the second one, but like you said, I had a friend reach out and say she was struggling to get through Ruthless Vows because it was boring her. But I know that she was just coming out of an ACOTAR reread. So of course,
Oh, yeah.
like me coming out of an Iron Flame read, I'm like, it's just a different vibe of YA,
Yeah.
fantasy, romance, all of that. But I did a good palate cleanser. I read some murder mystery, I read some romance in between fantasy to get myself prepped for this, and I did actually really enjoy this book.
Yes, it was good. I liked it. If you had to pick an era, what era is Dear Roman?
See, this one was kind of hard for me to pick an era, but I did decide to go with Midnights because I feel like that's when we have. I mean,
That's what I
please tell me you picked Midnights.
put. I picked
Well, I mean, we have the
Midnights.
Great War, and obviously we have a war going on.
I did. I
But
picked Midnights. I was like, it just felt like I don't know. There was a particular song I was even thinking, but it was like at the part I was reading it, and I think you texted me about it. Like, are we picking the era? And I was like, oh, at this particular moment, this is what I'm thinking. And I don't remember what song it was now, but oh my gosh, yeah, I picked Midnights.
see, I've had my moments like I said, the Great War, just because
Mm-hmm.
they're in war, obviously, but then also like woulda, coulda, shoulda, like she is just all sorts of sassiness right there,
Yeah,
and kind of
yeah,
the vibes of like Roman standing up to Dacre and all of that.
true,
And
true.
karma, Dacre gets his karma.
Karma.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I need
But
to look
what
it up
era are
because
you
oh,
what era are you in personally though?
mm. I am I don't know because I wasn't I told you earlier today that I was listening to like so many throwback songs, so not even
We were
in
doing it
Taylor
together.
Swift, not even close. But if I had to pick based off of that, probably like 1989.
Yeah, for sure. And so just based off of like our mood, our vibe earlier, definitely 1989. And kind of now that it's the
Yeah,
evening, it's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock your time. We're slowing down. I'm kind of
this
like
is
folklore.
this is definitely going to be a late podcast for us, and honestly, it's fine. It's fine.
It's all good.
I wanted to see. Okay, that's what I was looking up. Midnight's era, Lavender Haze. Oh, yeah, that one was like
Mm-hmm.
Midnight Rain, Karma, Mastermind. Like there were so bigger than the whole sky. Like, did you say that
Yeah.
one? Dear Reader. I mean, I felt
Yep.
like the whole
Yep.
album. I was like,
Oh,
yeah, this is
yeah,
a
for sure.
Midnight's. That's why I was like, I need to look this up because I mean, I just that's what the vibe I got anyway when I was listening to it. Like, I wanted to like play it in the background. Although I will say, and this is extremely nerdy, and I can't believe I'm admitting it out loud, but last night when I was reading, I like was trying to think of like study music. So I ended up just like putting on a random playlist or whatever. But the one that I picked had like so much string instruments in it, and I was like, oh, this is actually like super fitting for this book.
For sure. Yeah.
Anywho, that's my nerdiness of
Uh,
like set the ambiance.
I
Okay.
know. All right. So, would you recommend this duology to somebody?
So I would. I like I mean I liked the first book, but I feel like if you can get through that book, then this one to me was like really worth reading.
Mhm.
I did really like the first book. I feel like I almost want to like go back and do a podcast on the first one still because
I
I
think we
would like
should.
to revisit it now, having
Yeah,
finished the
for sure.
duology. But that's the same with like a bunch of books we've already read that I'm like, oh, I want to talk about it now because we've like briefly covered books that we've both read, but in short snippets. Whereas like this, like we're like really nitpicking and like taking the time to like take notes, and we don't normally do
Yeah.
that. But I yeah, I would recommend. I
I
even
would
was telling
too.
my mom about it, so
My mom has both of them. She just hasn't read them yet, but I would recommend them for somebody who is really into like the high action fantasy or the smutty. I
Yeah.
would really preface it like this is YA. This is slower moving than if you're reading SJM. Just kind of go in with that
Mhm.
mindset,
Mhm.
then you'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I agree. I would totally do a reread. I think it'd be really cool to reread Divine Rivals now and see the Easter eggs throughout it as well. And we know the story, so what can we catch this next time?
Their love, end the war, or break the world. Daunting. Like that's a lot of weight for
For sure.
two teenagers. Like aren't they like 18 years old?
I think they're like 19, 20, right? Like
Yeah.
really, really
They're
young.
super
And
young.
that's a really good point to make because I think as I'm reading, I kind of forget about this until it's like prefaced again, and you're like, oh yeah, they're young.
They're so young. They're so young. And I caught myself like even as I was like writing my review like what I was rating it, I was like, why is it not a 5 star for me? And then I was like, well, it's not because it's not like an adult book. Like I thought the storyline, the characters, like their relationship was still really good. I really liked it when they were together, when they were apart. Like the heart distance makes the heart grow fonder. I liked that aspect of
Yeah.
it. I didn't think it needed any like more than what was said in those scenes, really. Just because I felt
Yeah.
like it just didn't fit the book, I guess. Because the book it is just
Yeah.
such a war based book that I
Yeah, for
liked it.
sure.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
And it's funny because that's a common thing I saw on other reviews on Goodreads. You know, people were like, I was really hoping for more Roman Iris romance. I'm here for them
Yeah.
pining for each other. But this is a full spoiler video. All of our videos will be just disclaimer there.
Oh yeah.
But, you know, Roman
Big
has
disclaimer.
no recollection of Iris. So how can he
Mhm.
be writing these letters and pining for her if he doesn't even fully remember who she is or that he's even married to her?
Mhm.
So, like, I don't know why you're complaining.
This literally says, since waking below in Daiquiri's realm, is that how you pronounce it? Are we pronouncing it the same?
That's how
Roman
I've been
cannot
saying
remember
it,
his past.
Zachary.
Okay. Yeah, daiquiri. Okay. Which is funny because I did voice to text earlier and it like spelled out like a daiquiri,
A
like the drink.
daiquiri.
And I was like, I'm gonna have to fix that in my notes. But anyway, but given the reassurance that his memories will return in time, Roman begins to write articles for Daiquiri, uncertain of his place in the greater scheme of the war. When a strange letter arrives by wardrobe door, Roman is first suspicious, then intrigued. As he strikes up a correspondence with his mysterious pen pal, Roman will soon have to make a decision to stand with Daiquiri or betray the god who healed him. And I feel like that does it sums it right up of like what happens in the book and like the
Literally.
overall arcing but I don't think I read that. Like I usually try not to read
I
and
don't
even if I
ever.
do, I guess I like immediately forget because I usually go back and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's what happened." But like I don't remember I never read them, I don't think because I don't like to cuz I want to go in as blind as possible. Like just give me the
Mhm.
book page by page how I'm supposed to receive it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same way. I don't want to know, especially since we've read the first one. Like, I just want to jump right in and see
Yeah.
how I feel
Yeah.
personally. But I also think we have a very big missed opportunity here because we really should be drinking daiquiris during this.
I know. Okay, I did make a little drinky drink, but I
It's
should have done
fine.
that. That would have been better.
Okay, okay. Do you want to talk theories? Because you've had all these things
Okay.
come into mind, and I want to know what you have thought.
I did. I like even have a whole section theories because
I
I
love
did. I had
that.
so many theories. And then I tried to like pinpoint when I thought of that theory.
Yeah,
Some of them are so far-fetched though. Like now that I've finished, I'm like, where did I come up
I
with that?
know. I have some stuff
But
written down that I'm
okay.
like, mm.
I know. I'm like, I wrote that. I'm a little embarrassed, but it's fine. Okay, so theory number one from the get go was that because we don't really hear of Enva or where she's
Yeah.
at or anything like that. So obviously the Enva is alive and she's just trapped in Oath. I wrote that down pretty early on. And then this is the one I noticed earlier when I texted you and I was like, I missed this.
Yeah.
And then after about 10 minutes, as I was explaining it out loud to my husband, I was like, wait, no, now it's clicking again. Like, okay, so anyway, so in chapter 6, it's like the very top of the page. Dacre says, it's Roman is saying it to Dacre. He's saying she's the goddess of dreams. And he says, no, nightmares. What page was it on? I wrote it down. 55. So he's like,
Mm-hmm. Alva is the goddess of dreams, Dacre interrupted of nightmares.
yes. So that's not why I tabbed this page initially. I was like referencing something else. But then when I opened the book and I was just like trying to write notes, I like saw that and I was like, okay, wait, is Alva the one visiting in Iris's dreams?
Mm-hmm.
So then I was a little lost. And then I caught myself and I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense because Enva then has gone and killed all the gods and
Right.
has taken all their power. So that checked out to me. Okay, but I did also note, and this has nothing to do with theory wise, but I noted this page because this was important to me. Sometimes your kind dreams of things that you wish had happened. The images are wrapped up in your present emotions or the troubles you are currently facing. Your envision of a little sister is a simple expression of how much you would long for your family to be known. But that's it. It's just a dream. But that first part, sometimes your kind dreams of things that you wish had happened. So up until this point, Iris is like wishing, dreaming of her mom, which does make sense. Like
Yeah.
having lost people or, people that you don't see very often, like sometimes they'll see you in your dreams or whatever, especially
Yeah.
people that have passed. So like that checked out to me. But when he says it and then I referenced back, I was like, the emotions are wrapped up in your present emotions. So I was like, okay, so later in the book, when she's envisioning these things, and then it comes into play where she's being shown things that are like things that Enva wants her to find and like use. At that
Mm-hmm.
point, I like was really weirded out by Enva. I was like, she's not good. There's a whole ulterior motive to this that she's like leading Iris to the sword, to helping kill Val, like all of these things. Then I was like, then this is like the way into the book, but I was like, what did Dacre tell us from the very beginning? And I'm just piecing it together, but she ends up being good and it's fine. But like right before you finish a
That's
book, like that's when all the
yeah.
thoughts like flood your head.
So I had that same theory and it popped in a few different times because he is supposed to be the bad guy and we're getting him from Roman's point of view. Roman wakes up
Mm-hmm.
still knowing like I'm not supposed to be with him. I'm supposed to be on Enva's
And
side.
it
So go ahead.
even to the point of like it's almost Dacre's POV. Like you're so closely in his
Yeah.
world that every single day I'm like, well, he can't be that bad. I think that's one of my theories. Okay, keep going on.
Well, exactly. That's what it is. I kind of thought a few times, I'm like, so what if he's telling the truth? What if he's
Yeah.
healing these people? What if he's creating this whole world where everything is going to be peaceful and he's really just trying to, pick up the pieces that Enva has broken? But then I kept reading and like, some spaces would support that. But then I'm like, honestly, these books are not going to have that type of plot twist. And they did not. But that was where my head kept going
No.
to. I was like, what if he is
I
good? What
think
if he's not lying?
you and I like do that like almost to the point of like, would that make the book better? I don't know. I'm not trying to tell you how to write the book, but I got some ideas, okay? So then,
Maybe we need a spin-off.
um, yeah, we do. Like, there's going to be a whole podcast dedicated to how books should have been written.
And then we're gonna have like Daggery's full house, and he's gonna be the one coming in the door in the sweater vest. Everywhere you
Literally.
look.
Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm dead. Okay, so my second theory, this skips way ahead,
Okay.
but Lieutenant Shane, so Dacry's
Yes.
right hand man, I have, and this does ring true now that I know, but well, not fully, but that he was a part of, like, he was going to betray Dacry.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
initially
100%.
thought when they were at Hillshire and he goes down into the grave to kill Luz, that Dacry does, and he emerges and Roman is like, oh, he's already dead. Like, how did that happen? That tripped me up. Okay, anyway, so that he, at that point, I thought it was Shane, though, that did it.
Oh,
Enva was
interesting.
not even
Okay.
in my realm of thought. I, like, thought
Mhm.
that was the point. I was like, oh, he's not on Dacry's side. He's actually, there were two times actually that I was like, so that time, and then the second time was in Roman's house in the parlor. Dacry
Mhm.
calls Roman in with all the letters,
Mhm.
and Lieutenant Shane is just standing there and is like, yeah, bro, I sold you out to the devil. And at that point, I don't know, there was an exchange between the two, and I was like, Shane is a good guy.
Yeah.
And I just knew. I was like, he's okay. He's chill. Like, as much as you want to hate him, I'm like, I don't get bad vibes from him from the get go. I don't know. As soon as they walked away from that grave, I was like, it's Shane. But it wasn't, sadly. He's not that good.
I never thought of Shane killing the other gods, but when he's making his comments to Roman, that's when I realized there's more to him. He's definitely going to be betraying Dacry at some point when he's like, I'm from Oath 2, and oh, you're going to remember.
Hmm.
Just like these little jabs, but also hints at the same time.
Yeah, and
I
then
don't
to
know.
come to find out that, yeah, he was healed by Dacry and, like, obviously
Yeah.
was just taken in the same way all the rest of the soldiers were, of, you're going to do what I tell you to because
I
I
healed you.
have power over you because I healed you. And, like, I
Yeah.
don't know. That's such a, to put yourself in, like, Roman's perspective of if that was you, because there was times I was like, why are you not saying more in the letters?
Hmm.
Why are you not doing more? Why are you just, like, sitting back and letting it happen? And then I'm like, well, put yourself in his shoes. Like, how
Yeah.
would you feel? What would you be thinking if everything you once knew was gone, and then slowly it's
Hmm.
coming back, but you still don't know where those pieces fit together in your life or, like, anything at all, really. And then on top of that, this commandeer is like, do as I say, when I say jump, you say how high.
Hmm.
Like, that's such a stressful environment. And then on top of that, there's, like, bombs being dropped in the background. Like,
Right. Yeah. It's not something we can relate to unless you've literally lived through like war, you know? But also, can we take a second? Because the fact that when they start remembering and start knowing that they're going to turn against him, their healing reverses.
I thought that was a fun twist because,
I liked that, but like how messed
yeah,
up.
now it's, like, not just an emotional thing that they have to, like, overcome. It's now a physical thing too. And it, like, really
Yeah.
affects Roman going forward, of, like, he can't breathe, his lungs were so damaged from the gas.
Yeah.
He, was hit with shrapnel. He's, like, limping. He's, all these things. So it's like, it's sad. And then
It
to
is.
think
And
all of
having
the
to
soldiers,
hide
like,
that.
how many of them, yeah, and how many of them are hiding it and faking it really, really well every single day. Like that's such a
Yeah.
large lie to be telling every
Hmm.
day. Like if you
Yeah.
barely slip up, like he's just gonna feed you to the
Well, exactly.
ethereals.
To the wyverns. Yeah, because
Yeah, why did we not just call them
they come.
wyverns the whole book? And why was it an interchangeable term?
I have no idea. It's so
That
confusing.
was something that was like such a minor thing to me, but like it was nitpicky annoying. Like really annoying.
I did think it
It's
was
like just
interesting
pick
how you
one.
have truth. I thought it was interesting how you have the conception like, okay, yeah, if I remember too much, he'll just, erase my memories again. And he's like,
Mhm.
no, you're beast food.
You're literally beast food. The
Okay.
scene with Val taking Roman underneath in the
Back to
underrealm
Oath.
all the
Yeah.
way back to Oath, and they're like walking by all the skeletons, like each one, and there's like chains hanging from the walls, and then there's these sulfur
Yeah.
pools, and there's just bones everywhere. I did feel like this book was, and maybe I'm wrong because it's been a while since I've read the first one, but maybe more descriptive than the first one, in the sense that like I could really feel like I was like, oh, I get a clear picture of what's happening. Whereas, for instance, the last book we reviewed was so vague on descriptions that this one I felt like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really getting the whole picture of what I need. And I even like the very last scene of them in the underrealm of
Yeah.
when she is down there with Addie and they
Yeah.
finally kill Daiquiri. That whole like walking down, everything
Mhm.
along the walls, like I was just
It was
like,
described really
it's such
well.
beautifully painted. It was so beautifully
Yeah.
painted and I really enjoyed it. I was like, this is a fun, I mean, not a fun area, but like a fun picture that was being painted of, oh, like there's these crystals coming out of the walls. And I liked that. I
Yeah.
thought it was cool. I was like, what a unique touch. Although we never really found out the reasoning for that, I guess.
No, and I just had a very unhinged mental image
Tell
of this
me.
place.
Oh,
I've already told you
unhinged.
my unhinged. I've already told you my unhinged picture of Daiquiri.
Oh, I
Okay.
honestly, oh, well, earlier it was hilarious because I was like, he's tall, dark, broad, and dark hair. And you're like, he's blonde. And I was like, I
Blonde.
completely missed that detail. And then at the very end, she's like, I sliced him. And like, but it just cuts his hair. And it's like the golden
Mm-hmm.
threads fell to the ground. And I was like, there it is, golden.
The blonde. Okay, but
Like it finally
I
clicked.
mean,
Yes, golden hair.
I can share that photo in a minute, but the mental image I
You
just
should.
had while you were re-describing the underrealm with the sulfur pools, I'm literally thinking of the Lion King, where the hyenas they're at
Oh my gosh.
when they're singing "Be Prepared."
Yes, and oh, okay. It is unhinged, but
It
I,
is.
you know, my version in my brain was a little more like PG-13 graphic, but we'll
Oh
go
yeah,
with
when I
that
read
version.
it, that's how it was. But when you described it all over again, it just was like, oh yeah.
I painted the Disney version.
But I mean, we do have to talk about my fan cast picture of him.
Please show, because this is,
I got you.
I don't even know how we even got on this topic, but you were like, why can't I unsee it?
I was just like reading and they talk about his hair and I don't know where it came from because I haven't seen these movies in a good while and it just hit me. I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Okay,
this
for me,
dude in
but it's
Breaking
still
Dawn." Oh,
it's still the
color, come
fact
back
for
here.
me that we had that conversation. We had that conversation. You showed me that picture. And then after that is when I'm like, he has dark hair. And you're like, no, dude, I showed you the picture. I
Oh,
can't. I
we're
cannot.
supposed to
I
look up
cannot.
fan art. Let's look up fan art.
Let's look up fan art. Okay, so Montana
Yes.
and I both don't do this, but I don't look up fan art while I'm reading a book. I will say when I read Actar, I did, I think after the first book, but I also think my like socials were already flooded with it. But I
Yeah.
have never looked up fan art for Googling.
I yeah, no, we were talking about this. We're like, I feel like you're right. She describes the places a lot better, but the characters, like, yeah, I know Roman has black hair. I know that Iris cut her hair, but like, I'm not really grasping what they look like. So we were like, well, we don't really have the good mental image of anybody, so let's look up fan art together.
I mean, them two, I had a pretty solid like mental image, but the
Yes,
gods is
big
where,
image.
okay, I'm gonna look up Daiquiri because
I did too, and I'm still just getting Roman and Iris. Oh, that's a
maybe
Asriel and Elaine. Okay, wrong book.
when you type in fan art, crazy things come up.
I've got Dacry Ruthless Vows fan art, and I am just getting Roman and Iris.
They really just don't want us to know what he really looks like.
We have to have our own
I
now.
see nothing. I
I'm
see nothing.
no, I'm kind of annoyed right now because
I
he's
mean, they're
described
the
so
main. Yeah. It's just like
him and
snippets
Enva
and
are
pieces
just as
here and
important
there.
as Roman and Iris.
100%. And I feel like just because and I told you this, like the whole thing for me was that they were these gods and there wasn't a lot of descriptive pieces that set them apart from
They were
just humans.
ordinary.
They were super
Yeah,
ordinary. And so it was like, which is a fun take on it. I will say that. But like,
yeah,
that I think is why it's so hard for me to like paint a picture and like cling to the fact that this person is a god, this being, this divine, because
yeah.
that's just not what I was getting, I guess. But now having finished that final scene with Enva in the cafe, I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Although the ending still was a little weird to me, but I liked that. I was like, oh, she's just enjoying her tea. Like, how cute as a normal, everyday person.
So major dislike on my part here.
Oh, are you done with
Dacry.
theories? Did you say all your theories?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Are you still going? That sounded so rude. I'm sorry. Not at all intended. Do you still have more? Because yeah, I'm done.
No, I think I'm good. Obviously, I texted
Okay.
you last night when I was reading that Embo in the museum, that it was Emba in the dream, like, and I was like one page away from finding that out, and you were just like, I don't know. You literally emojied me, and I was like, that was so rude. And then I turned the page, and I was like, duh, and you're like, I don't know. I was like, shut up, like I already know.
Don't know.
And then yeah, my last one was chapter 37 when Shane finds like confronts Roman. Oh
Gotcha.
no, confronts Roman. That was the other time that I was like,
Oh, when he
was it?
found all the letters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a comment in there, and I was like, I feel like partially because he did say something back of like protecting himself. Like basically, he was like, I'm making
Yeah.
you write this letter, but I also need to protect myself. And I was like, oh, yeah, definitely traitor. Like he's the mole.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
okay, anyway, dislikes, major dislikes. I don't think I wrote any, but I probably have some.
I only have three. So I guess I'll start with like the ones that aren't that bad. Because there's only
Okay.
one that like really just did
Was a
not, I don't know.
major ick.
Yeah, so we already talked about this, like, but lack of character description and just lack of plot twists. Just
Yeah.
those were my two small dislikes. But my one
Yeah.
big dislike, Daiquiri's death, too easy. Enva literally just was like,
Also,
hatch.
also, I noticed this in that chapter. Okay, hold on. It's in.
I read it 3 times over and over because I was like, this doesn't wait. He's dead just like that. He's dead. It just seemed
Oh
like
my God,
there
where
was
is it?
so much build up to this moment. You know, she's got the sword. Addie's
Yeah.
playing the music. Their plan's not working, and then Enva, who has not done almost anything, saying you have to be the one to do it, just shows up and does it. That's what threw me.
And then it's a weird way of saying it too. She goes,
Yeah,
"Oh
that's
my
why I had to
God."
keep rereading because I didn't understand fully what was
I
going
did
on.
too. I like went down and then I was like,
Yeah,
back right
same.
back up because I was like, did he just die like that easily?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's right here. Okay.
100%.
Because she goes, Emma didn't seem to be able to speak, but she indicated Dacre with a tilt of her head. I think it was before this. Iris stared down at him, sensing his coldness. He looked younger and softer in sleep, and Iris thought what could have been and what could still be now that he was gone from the world.
Mhm.
A would be gone. Oh, see, maybe I was just reading too fast. Extinguished like a flame, his soul had turned to, and magic turned into smoke, dissolving as it rose skyward. See, that's what doesn't make sense, okay? So his soul and magic turned into smoke, dissolving as it rose skyward. Then, 2 sentences later, it was easier and harder than she had expected. Easy because the sword cut through the bone and sinew as if Dacre had nothing more than a cobweb, and hard because another bruise formed on her heart marked by the killing.
She didn't kill
Does she
him.
not does she not stab him after that line is said? Isn't that what's happening? Like they're saying his soul turned into smoke and then 2 sentences later teeth
She's
barred she
beheading
brought
him.
the sword down on his neck.
What I
That
think,
sentence is after. So I'm
yeah,
like,
and
how is
that's what
his
I
soul leaving his body when she hasn't even stabbed him yet?
right because Enva clearly did something, and I'm not following what happened there, but I think she beheaded him to not only ensure like he's dead, 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 because we know we have to behead a god to kill them, but also to bring his head back and proof like he is dead, the war is over.
Maybe because it was one of her stolen powers. No, because this is just the power of her illusion and deception.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's where I got so lost, and I just feel like his death was just like
For me, it's just I like all I noted was that his soul and magic turned into smoke, dissolving as it rose skyward. Teeth
mhm,
barred, she brought the sword down on his neck. How is his soul dissolving
gone.
when he's not even stabbed yet?
Like
Like
what
I
is
have never killed
Enva?
anyone, but that doesn't add up. I've never killed a magical god. Sorry. It's late at night. Just ignore that.
That was just so perfect. And I'm over here like, yeah, me either. I mean, in my 28 years of existence, maybe I just haven't lived long enough to deal with
I
this, but
just
they're
I just
young.
haven't done it yet. I I don't know.
Maybe
That
next
part did
year.
bother me because I was like, how is his I like read that part like 5 times and then I went to the next line and was like, oh, now she killed him. Now she brought the sword down on his neck. Also, the sword to me was a really weird thing. When she killed Val, like in her apartment, the description that they gave for
Just like
her like stabbing him, but it was like in my head, the image I
yeah.
had was like he was literally like a filleted fish and just like peeled in two down to the
Literally
ground.
just yes, me too. 100%.
That was the
Just
way it
like
was described.
because
And
it's
then it was
supposed to just
like,
like
and he
cut right
started
through
pooling from the
the
chest. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, so now he's in two halves on the floor. Got it. I don't know. Maybe I was overthinking that one, but that's how it played out in my head.
okay, kind of a turn subject change. Did you
Easy
expect
go.
Forrest to die?
Hmm. I didn't because I felt like they were like, which I guess is probably why he died, because they were finally like getting somewhere in their relationship of like he was finally
Yeah.
home and then he didn't want her to leave and then she did and then she came back and like then he found this person, Sarah, and was like gonna be with this person and was like all happy. It was very poetic
He's
how
seeing the
they died.
doctor, like
Very
he's
poetic.
doing. I
Yeah, he
The
was doing all the
moment it like
things.
ended with him and her running, and then the
That
bomb dropping, I
chapter,
was like, they're dead.
yeah,
Shit, they're dead. Like,
100% same.
and then when
But
it's
then
like
I was like, the chapter
they
ends,
when
and
they
I was
found their
like, started the
bodies,
new one. I was like, well, I was
yeah,
mad because I was like, the chapter ended, and then it's the start of the next chapter, and I was like, and like did a flippy floppy because I was like, well, you can't just leave it there. And then it's like 4 chapters later that they even find him. Probably longer than that. It was a
yeah.
while after that happened, and I was like,
It was a good
ah,
while because
ah.
the war's over. It's days after, and they're just finding bodies in the
Mhm.
rubble. And I teared
Finally
up. I
cleaning
was
up
just like,
everything that had
I
happened.
knew
Mhm.
when that chapter just
Yeah.
abruptly ended, and then they never saw him. I was like, they're dead. But it still hurt because I'm like,
Mhm.
Forrest went through so much. Let him be happy. So that part was
I
sad.
just thought it was
I didn't expect him to
her brother
die
Bruce.
until that chapter when they were running.
He shielded Sarah with his body, but it hadn't been enough. Little flower. Iris turned away and slid down the pile. It was just so sad.
It
Yeah.
was sad.
I mean, them holding hands, I thought that was sweet, but for
It
her
was
to be
sweet.
like out there and to be the one to like, oh yeah, that's him,
Yeah.
like just to even come across that and not like Roman sees their names like in the newspaper, like to have
She
seen
literally
them like
identified them.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's
that's such
awful.
a hard thing. That part was really sad. Yeah, it was. I didn't
It was sad.
no, I didn't like it.
So did
um
you have
okay,
any
so
dislikes that you noted?
um I mean, like not anything like character wise or like plot particular. There were parts that I was like, what the hell am I reading? Okay, well, first, yeah, I said the ethrals or whatever, wyverns, like why not just call them wyverns? I did write that down.
Mm-hmm.
Um okay, wait, not related to likes or dislikes, but this is a serious question. Who the world, who in this world gave the graveyard just free reign? Like who decided? Because
It just came out
literally
of nowhere.
it says the graveyard claims allegiance to no god and they instated a curfew without the chancellor's approval. Only they can run the streets at night as a
Mm-hmm.
whole as they hunt for Enva. I literally in all caps, who let them have free reign? I
Well,
was
because the
pissed.
chancellor
I was like,
was just terrible.
well, obviously. Also, they don't
Yeah, he
say
was just
though who
awful.
the new chancellor is.
Oh, yeah, they don't, huh? I
They
mean,
said
it's
she.
over, so they
So
were,
it
yeah, they're just,
what?
you're right. And then I had a theory. You saying that just like sparked into my brain because I was like, what if it's Keegan?
That's who I thought. Okay, so I was like waiting if
Yeah,
you thought that too, because that's what I thought. They said she, and I was like, oh, it's totally Keegan then. Like she walked up in
yeah.
there when they were trying to execute,
This is the best
when they were
friend.
trying to
This is the
execute
best
everyone.
friend telepathy right here because I know exactly where you're going.
She walks up in there and she is just like, no, like her powerhouse of
Yeah,
like, I am on her side. I will stand here and vouch for her. She knows what she's talking about. Roman is innocent. She's
yep,
innocent. Most of these people are innocent because Daiquiri had healed them and taken their memories. Like they were forced to work for
yeah.
him. And so that kind of confidence and power But also, I think that's why they made that little reference. They did reference it, I think, in the 3 months after, or maybe it was right before. It's right
Mm-hmm.
before. It's right before. It's right before. Her and Marisol are standing on the outside of town and they're like looking out at everything. And they both are like exchanging these words, and but they don't really say much. They're just like I think she just says like Marisol or something like that, and she knows like the weight of her words. Like she doesn't need to say anything. They know that everything's about to change, and I think that was like kind
Yeah.
of hinting at like everything. Oh, right here, they dreamt of life after how it'd been before, what it was going to be, blah blah blah. Keegan's arm tightened around her. She knew how naive she had been. Some scars might fade in time, but others never would.
It's just the whole
But she
time,
does.
even with her, like,
She does.
yeah,
She just
just
does. She's
taking over
like,
her new role and being in Hawkshire. Like, she is that
ugh,
bitch.
Hawkshire. That area really
That
just.
was,
Okay,
that
this
was
part,
scary.
I just saw it. This part pissed me off. This is a dislike. And I know it's like so minor. So minor. But
Okay.
he says, you know why Iris Daiquiri's lackadaisical demeanor was infuriating. Lackadaisical. I'm sorry. That word could not feel more out of place in this book.
Nope.
I couldn't. I was like, we're in a world of
Lackadaisical sounds like,
typewriters.
yeah.
Yeah. Like they're not using lackadaisical. And then I was gonna look it up of like when did this word start becoming in use? Because lackadaisical to me was like lackluster would even be
Yeah.
a choice of a better word. But lackadaisical,
Literally,
no,
yeah.
I didn't like it. I don't know why. That was like such a minor thing, but I was like, ew, 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 ew.
It's like you really just wanted to use that word, so she threw it in there.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Like you didn't have
Yeah.
a reason to use that. That's not even a valid time to use it, really. Okay.
Yeah, no. But okay, Addie and Tobias. That was
Oh, I
fun.
liked them. Yeah, I liked
I would really
them.
like a whole kind of like other series more focused on Addie. Even not like a series, I guess, like because I know she's not adding on to this. It's just the duology, but maybe something else about
Mm-hmm.
Addie because I want to know more about
More
her
about her.
past and yeah, and then kind of how she got to where she is, even though we do know a lot,
Yeah.
and then where her and Tobias go from this. Like I really enjoyed that relationship.
I felt like it was very, is it Bexley or Brexley? Bexley? And how she like
Bexley.
would call him that. Like I thought that was cute. But
Mm-hmm.
from the get-go, you kind of could see that thread forming.
Oh
And
yeah.
then it's like so glossed over in the sense of like you don't, yeah, like we don't get any insight as to like their relationship other than like, oh, Tobias is going to come pick me up, or Tobias is here like just at her, when he's at her apartment or
Just
their house or
casually.
whatever. Yeah, like
Yeah.
nobody's talking about it, and obviously it's like so minor in the grand scheme of this war, but I'm like, I'm here for the love.
Yeah, it was great. And that's the other love story that we're getting on top of Roman and Iris.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Okay.
do wish we would have had some more of that, but it was really good.
Okay, so I had this part was I wanted your thoughts on this because
Okay.
it's like a two-part thing. But so
Okay.
chapter 22, when Iris is in Hawkshire and she's there, the car breaks down, she goes back to town to get the wrench and
Mm-hmm.
is now in the house and she's upstairs and all of a sudden Roman walks in the room and they're
Yeah.
having this exchange and she's acknowledging that Roman doesn't remember who she is. And
Mm-hmm.
then at this point in time, she leaves, she runs out, she's now being chased by gunfire, but like in that moment, if you're standing there face to face with the love of your life, you married this person, and they don't remember you,
How gut-wrenching would that be?
I would be devastated. Like, it took
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry. And then in the back of my head, I'm like, don't be stupid. And I can't remember prior to that if like we really got hints. Like he had been dreaming about her, but he hadn't really
Yeah.
acknowledged that he did know who she was yet until the next chapter. Then the next chapter, he writes a letter and he does acknowledge that he knows who she was. Like in that moment after they touched hands, that he realized like, oh yeah, you were this important person in my life. But up until that point, like he's like, I don't know who you are. Like, why are you? And she's like, I'm your wife. And like, that's like so hard. And then you like think like real life problems of like
Yeah.
dementia or, traumatic brain injury or, anything could happen. And like, she just like held her composure and was just like, okay, I gotta go now. Like, peace out the window. Like, it was no big deal. But it was like, obviously, you could sense her pain and hurt and heartbreak in that moment. And then she
Yeah.
leaves and then is crouching and then being shot at. And then on top of that, being chased by the
The
ethereals like
freaking
down the road.
hounds. The
Oh, the hounds. It was the hounds. That's
hounds.
right. The hounds. Yeah. They were bad.
That part, I
That
was
was like
like,
a
oh my
scary.
gosh.
I like couldn't turn the page
It
fast enough. I was like, did
was.
they get away? Because I was like anticipating
You're
something bad
nice.
happening. I was like, oh, this is
I
not good.
know. I was at least
But
expecting someone to get
then,
hurt.
yeah, yeah, no, it like went fast. Yeah, his letter to her.
I'm looking, so it's in chapter 24. So 22, the ending is where she gives him her ring. And chapter 23 is where the hounds are chasing them. Chapter 24, the very end of it.
So,
Let me
okay,
see
hold on. I have
here.
them noted. What are you looking for?
Oh, I've got it. It's just, he remembered how she had whispered his name in the sweetened darkness. Even then, may I find your soul still sworn to mine. A shiver coursed through him as he looked up at the moon and the stars. He remembered everything.
Everything.
Finally.
I know.
I
I
was like,
know.
oh my gosh, you needed this ring. You had your moment. You remember. Just
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Mm-hmm. And
And he's
then
so
you
sad. But yeah.
go to immediately after. And so now you're with Iris. And then you go back to
Mm-hmm.
his POV. And now he's with. Oh, now they're writing their letters back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Acknowledging the actual, yeah, Morgie was the name of your
he
pet
remembers.
snail and
Hmm.
all of the
I loved
things.
it. I do like I always get giddy when I see like the print change and I know that they're writing and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I have to like block it. I'm like, don't skip ahead because my eyes just want to immediately go to whatever is
Just
written because
jump.
I'm like, I just want to know what
Yeah.
you're saying. Like, tell me all your words. As Iris says, dear Kit, your words have moved me deeply. Same. Oh, I liked this part. So he writes back to her, remembers everything. She writes back and she's like, I noticed you had an asterisk on the word. Like, what? Why?
A
And then he
typo.
just, yeah, she's like
He's
calling him
like,
out,
no, a
like,
typo.
yeah, he's like, you believed I had come to the bluff to outshine you, and I would speak this word back to you now, but only because I would love to see you burn with splendor. I would love to see your words catch fire with mine. So that was one of the things that I wrote like pretty early on was like a theory that I foreshadowing perhaps of them writing together to give messages to everyone, which in a sense
Mm-hmm.
they don't really do it together, but the fact that she goes from the Ink Written Tribune writes what she's supposed to write that Dacre wants her to write, and then turns around and takes over the Gazette and then prints
And prints
the
it for
addresses.
everybody.
I was like, that counts, right?
Loved it. I
Because I was like,
loved
oh,
it.
that was so, I loved it. And like the poor guy at the printing the newspaper, he's just
Yeah.
like, at the printing company, he's just like, oh my God, I'm going to be in so much trouble. They're going to be pissed at the
Yeah.
Gazette. And they're like, it literally isn't even going to matter tomorrow, dude. We're in a war. The place is being bombed. And he's just like so mad. He's like,
They're gonna hate
no.
me.
Yeah. He's like all pissed off. It was so great. I also really
I
liked
did really like that.
Helena, as the bombings are happening. You see her. That was kind of that moment of like Marisol and Keegan on the outskirts of town. They're like flashing to
Yep.
everyone, right? And Helena is in the office at the Ingram Tribune, and she's just, what else to do than light up a
Just
cigarette
laying
and sit
back,
down at her
smoking a cigarette.
typewriter and just like start writing. And I was like, in that moment, I did kind of like have some fear of like, oh no, she's like gonna write this letter and the
I thought
building is gonna
she would
topple.
die.
I thought she was gonna die. I
Yeah.
was like, the building is gonna topple. She's gonna be inside. And then,
Hmm.
Iris, as she's like come back out of the underrealm and she's going from building to building and is like, oh, the Gazette, is destroyed. The whole fourth floor is gone. And then I'm like, well, what about the English Tribune? Like, get there, get there. What's happening? And she turns the corner and
Yeah.
Helena's like on the street next to her. I'm like, oh yay!
She's just
Like that
like,
was a happy little
hey,
moment.
kid.
Yeah,
It
with her
was.
cigarette. Like she's just always just chilling.
She's like, screw quitting.
Yep.
Okay. Did you, I mean, obviously, we all knew just kind of how it was playing out that Roman's dad was working for Dacre, but did you expect him to be the one helping the graveyard to plant the bomb?
The flip, no. That
I
was
didn't either.
that when they mentioned the bomb, that was when I immediately went to like Shane. Like
Yeah,
he
me
did
too. I
it.
was like, Shane, graveyard. Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah. 100%. No, I didn't think it was Mr.
Mr.
Kit
Kit, yeah.
and then once you get back and then it's him, I'm like, all of that grief he gives Roman is out of love, and like that I get as a parent. I'm like, I get it.
For sure.
I do think he's like way too hard on him. I was a little bummed to see that they still ended up giving him like prison time and like he's going to live the rest of his life in prison. I was a little sad about that because I was like, but
Mm-hmm.
he also did it to like lure him in to be able to
Yeah.
try to attempt to kill him. And that's more than what most people were doing at that point. Like he sacrificed everything,
Yeah.
his
They
life,
weren't
yeah.
his home, his family, and most people on
Yeah.
Oath were just like, there's not even a war.
Yeah. They're just chilling. They
No,
were just
totally.
chilling. Um
Did you write any quotes?
uh, no,
I have
I didn't.
two that I really liked.
Well, I guess I have one I wrote. What are yours?
What is it? So I did it just felt personal, just to me, but let me be your secret then. Tuck my words into your pocket, let me be your armor. That's that it can be personal because like I do have like notes and stuff or even like screenshots of texts from very early on in my relationship with my husband. Like sometimes I just go back and read them because they're nice and it like just makes
Mhm.
me feel
Mhm.
good or like reminds me of
Yeah.
like the days when we were like just falling in love. And so like I resonated with that.
Mhm.
Um and then this one resonated personally, but it reminded me that I cannot hold those I love in a cage, even if it feels like protecting them. So it's like, yes, we want to shelter and protect because we are wives, we are mothers. But also, it just screamed Tamlin locking Feyre in the house.
You cannot
I
leave
was
these
like,
four walls.
oh, I can tell her.
We
Those are
love
the
a good
quotes that I
Ecto
wrote.
reference. Okay,
Oh,
the only one
nice.
I wrote was like a pretty obvious one, but um I wrote it because I was referencing the whole chapter.
Hmm.
Um yeah, this is when he's in the parlor. Shane has now given up all the letters, and Dacre is like yelling at him, and he's like, "Why did you betray me? Why did you do this? Like, give me." I don't even remember what he's saying. Like, give me names and give me, he's basically J Law, and he's like, I have proof, I have timestamps, I have receipts, and that's how I felt in that moment. He was like pissed, and he's like, I know you did it, and Roman's like, no, I didn't, and then he's like, oh shit, you have all the shit in front of you, so I guess I'm caught.
He's like,
So, but then he's like really mad because now Dacre is like taking him down and is going to chain him up and beat the living poop out of him, I'm sure. And so he's like, I would betray you 100-fold. I would betray you 1,000-fold for her.
As a fold for
And I was
her.
like, oh, like just that urgency of like,
I
mostly, I think
remember
mostly I wrote it down
this is my
because this is
wife.
the moment that he finally stands up. And like I said earlier, like, I was like, why is he not doing more? Why is he not like fighting more? Because it's his love, it's
Yeah.
his life, it's his family's lives, it's their home. Like, why is he not doing more? And that was like frustrating to me.
Hmm.
And then at this point, it like switched. And I think he just like really came to realization like it really doesn't matter anymore. Because at the end of the day, like, Dacre's going to believe what he believes, and everyone
Yeah.
is just here to survive themselves. So, like, I have nothing left to lose at this point. Even if he kills me, like, I would do it time and time again for her. And
Yep.
I was like, that's so sweet because he like physically couldn't burn her letters. Like those were everything to him. And so like you
Yeah.
were saying,
That's all he
like
had,
old text
really.
messages, like yeah, like that, and in a really dark, morbid way, like when someone passes away and like you only have voicemails or
Yeah.
videos or pictures with that person, like that's everything. And so then for him at that point in time, like everything is unknown. He doesn't know where Iris is. He's not with her. She doesn't
Yeah.
know where he's at. Like he's just so, it doesn't matter what you do to me because I would do it again and again just for her. And I was like, that's really
Yeah.
sweet. And I was just like, thank God you got a backbone.
It's about damn time.
It's about damn time. I was like, bro, like, are you a man? Or are you like a boy child? I don't know. But he stepped up. He stepped up, and now he's good.
It's all good. I mean, that's really all I had written down, though. I thought it was a really good read.
Um,
Definitely preface it for
um,
people who haven't read it that if you don't like descriptive smutty scenes where it's more of just kind of like a fades to black, or it's like they had sex but it's not telling you they're having sex, then this is the spice level for you.
100%. Yeah. This is like, I would consider this like, is it YA?
Yeah, it's YA, and I mean, Breaking
Okay.
Dawn has more descriptive sex than this did, so
We don't need to
yeah.
talk about Breaking Dawn. We don't need to talk about it. I do. I mean, this was, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, because of all the things we said, I guess.
Yeah,
It's getting very
it was
late at
just a
night.
good read. I'm glad that I'm glad that we did this together. I'm glad that we got the raw reactions that we did, and I love that we have that bestie connection where we are just thinking and feeling the same things throughout the book.
Yeah, there was a
It's
lot of
just
that in this one. I knew
it's
things as
fun.
where I was going. I was like, yeah, this will be a fun one to like go over because there were just some things. I will
Yeah.
say the part that like really cracked me up is like when Daiquiri's like, type for me, Iris, and she's like, nah, bro, I ain't gonna move my hands. And she's like, Roman, move her hands. Like as if she's some illiterate bitch that can't move her hands. And so he like moves behind her. And I don't know, that whole scene to me was like, and this is what I literally thought. I'm like, oh my God, he has such a God complex. And then I'm like, oh, duh.
He's a god.
But like, you know how people like men are just like such like a masculine power of like watch me boss this bitch around. And like, this is where it gets really chaotic. But literally, that was my thought of like, oh my God, what a nasty God complex. And then I was like, yeah, well, he's a god. So,
We're just really talking about like fragile masculinity at this point. We're getting to feminist issues.
uh, fuck the
That was
men.
fantastic. The
It was great. I
patriarchy.
felt like that was a good moment to end on because I don't know. It did. It like felt like, ew, gross, Daiquiri. Like, what's wrong with you? Anywho,
Fuck the
that's where I leave you.
patriarchy.
Literally. That's kind of how I felt. I was like, why? I don't know. I don't know. I
I
don't think
feel
I
like
had any more
that's a
thoughts.
no, I feel like that's a good place to wrap this book up, right? Just with that note.
Yeah, on that, I mean, I have nothing left to say. That was it. That was my last little note. I was like, God, you're so gross.
So I do think definitely in the
uh,
future we'll do an actual deep dive into Divine Rivals, but do you want to tell them what we have planned next? Because I'm so excited for this one.
okay, is that what we're doing? What I
I
asked?
mean, that's
Was
what
that
I,
yesterday?
yeah. Oh, I'm so
Okay,
ready. Yeah.
so next. Oh, I'm excited. Okay, so next. Hold on, wait. I can get one because I have a
I
million.
know I'm grabbing one.
We're gonna do fourth wing. Okay,
We'll
this
probably have to
is.
break it into chapters,
Oh, we can do
segments, at
that.
least half.
Yeah, that's
We'll have
fine.
to do something like that. But
That's fine.
fourth wing,
I'm excited about this one because this is we both read it like pretty much. I read it. Well, okay, funny story actually about Fourth Wing. This was that book, wasn't it?
mm-hmm.
I pre-ordered in December of 2022, not having
Mm-hmm.
I may have read the like synopsis like briefly, but the reason I bought it was because it was a pre-order and it came out in May, and my birthday's in May. So I was like, that's a perfect birthday gift. Who doesn't want a book for their birthday? So I
You
pre-ordered it
texted me
after
about it.
having
You're like, I just
I did.
pre-ordered this really cool looking book. I'm like, oh, dude, awesome. I love
I
that for
just
you.
was like, look how cute. This book also for people who can are watching this on YouTube, this book has been loved. Like I didn't know the power that this book was about to have on the world. But
Yeah,
I was like sitting next to the pool with my children reading it. So she has had some love. So don't come at me for that, okay? But
it's okay.
then I texted and after I think I you didn't pre-order it. So after I got it and started
Mm-mm.
it, you couldn't even get it for like a good month. But then we both finally like
No, it
powered through it. We
was
were like, "Oh my god, that was so good." So that'll be our next
yeah,
one. I'm
you
so
had
excited.
read it before I even got the copy and it was sold out
Yeah.
everywhere. I finally found a copy and immediately pre-ordered Iron Flame as soon as possible, but I'm very excited.
So
It's going to
excited.
be a really good one to dive into and we can talk
I'm so
about the
excited.
Shadow Daddy Zayden and the soul crushing events that happen in Fourth Wing.
Don't give it away yet. Don't give it away yet. I have so many
Never.
things. I love it. I'm so
We have
excited. That was like top 5 of 2023. So I'm excited to do that one next because it's one I don't need to like fully reread
yeah,
first of all cuz I have some
for sure.
TBR books that are like yelling at me over here, but or over
As
here.
my
I guess
Kingdom
they're
of
not even
Ash
on
is
this
laying
shelf.
over here
They're
screaming.
upstairs. That's the thing. Like the books I'm about to read aren't even down here, but anywho, I'm excited. I'm so excited. Yeah.
But yes,
Fourth wing
so
next.
Fourth
And
Wing
then
will be next. We'll see where
and
we
then I
go
don't
from
even know
there.
where we go from there. Yeah. If you have book suggestions, what we should read next, because Fourth Wing will be a reread for us. If you have new
Yep.
suggestions, let us know. That would be great.
And if
Or if you
you've
had
read,
thoughts on Ruthless Vows, let us know because we obviously had a lot
yeah,
of
if you
opinions.
read the Enchanted Letters duology, I would love to hear them and
Hmm.
just tell us your thoughts if you agree or you disagree with us and maybe tell us what era you thought the book was in and what era you're personally in also.
Yes,
Because
all the
that's just
things.
our daily motto at this rate.
It is. I mean,
It's
I'm just
fine.
constantly in a T Swift state of mind, but it's good.
Nothing wrong with that.
Great.
All right. Well, if you stayed this long, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one.